Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Peter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Peter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome back to Chautauqua Sunrise. We're live this week. Last week we were pre-taped because, as you know, most of us weren't here and we were up in Buffalo, but we'll get to that in a minute. And most importantly, it's hard to believe we are ending our 5th season working together. Hard to believe. Show 260 something or other. Get our official count here. 261 shows in the bag area, or wherever they call it, in the can. And so we're just so pleased to be able to do this every Saturday morning, and welcome. Okay, for those of you that are listening on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock on WRFA 107.9, lower power to the people, good afternoon. We've got a good show in store for you as well, and thanks for joining us. As always, if you are interested in sharing a question, a comment with myself or our guest, give us a call at 753-5225. There you go. And for those that are listening in Jamestown on Tuesday, you can always email us a question or go to our Facebook page, and there's an opportunity to send me a note there as well. So happy to hear from you. Last week, since we weren't here, you had Brenda Burdick on the show with me, and she was talking about lymphedema. They're going to come back in October, and we're going to talk about lymphedema and breast cancer. So I hope you found that of interest, and it's important with women's health here in Chautauqua County. That's one of my mantras, is working to get that in better shape than what we have already, because we just have to keep working on getting services for our ladies. Want to say a big hello to all of our folks at Chautauqua Institution. Welcome back. If you just checked in, I know that this has been a busy week. Everybody getting their homes and cottages, condos up and ready for summer. So I'm glad you tuned in. And if you can't catch the whole show, as you know, we are at 2 and 8 every day throughout the week. And you also can always find this show on YouTube. Just put in Chautauqua Sunrise, and whoever the guest is that day or the date, it'll pop up, and there you go. Okay, since I mentioned we were gone last week, I hope you have that picture, Jeff, so let's see if we can pop that picture up, the three amigos. Oh, okay, Chris had it, I sent it to him, but maybe he doesn't have it, but we can use an old one. But anyways, the three of us, Jeff Zook, Randy Burt, and myself, we were able to, there we are, the magic. How'd you do that, Jeff, so fast? Anyways, there we are. Looks like we're a little heated, 34 plus miles, and it was a great day. From what I understand, they raised over $5.5 million in one day. Thousands of riders in Chautauqua Sunrise. There we are in our canary yellow t-shirts. We were well represented, and I tell you, it's really fun when somebody yells behind you, "Hey, Chautauqua Sunrisers, good going," you know, so we had our names on our backs as well. I do want to share a moment with you real quick. We were passing a home. I don't know if you guys, Jeff or Randy, you saw this, but there was a sign as we were passing this one home, and it says, "Thank you for riding," and then it says something to the effect, a Roswell cancer survivor lives here 1 year, 0.5, and still going, or something like that. And I'll tell you, you know, when you're riding your bike and you're goofing around and we're looking around, but when you actually can connect with somebody that's living there that says, "Thanks, you've made a difference," that was very moving to me. So thanks for all the folks that donated to our cause. The three of us combined, we raised over $1,100, and hopefully next year we can do even better. So lots of fun and a good time. Okay. He wants to do it again. Okay, Jeff. You are talking to me, and I'm not having voices in my head. Jeff was talking to me at the same time I was talking. Okay, going right along. This Thursday, believe it or not, it's the 4th of July. And as long as Mother Nature cooperates, from what I'm told, Chris and the gang are going to put together our arrangements for televising, I can say the word, televising the 4th of July parade live, which is always fun. I plan to be there once again. I don't even know how many years it's been, 8, 9 years, and Rick Mascaro is going to join me once again, and he's a hoot to be with, and we have a lot of fun. So that starts at 10 o'clock, I think. 10 o'clock, I think that's when they shut the, no, it's got to be around, I think it's early, it's 10, I think we wrap up at like 11:30. But the cannon goes off, and they come marching down, and it's going to be a great day. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the weather's nice. Okay, so let's see what else we got going on here. I guess that's all I have to say right now as far as my announcement. So let's get right into what's going on in the community. Not too much that I have today, but let me remind you that if your club or organization doesn't have an event and you'd like us to talk about it, it's free of charge. Just email me or send it to the attention here at Access Chautauqua here in Mayville. Go on our Facebook page and let us know. But anyways, Infinity Performing Arts just finished their big showcase, so they're taking a little breather, but they want you to know that you are to mark on your calendar September 7th. This is another event that I've participated in for many years now. They are going to have their 16th annual local music showcase. For those of you that don't know much about this, this is basically you pay like $10, whatever the cost is. I don't even know what it is this year. It's usually right around there. You get a wristband, and you can go like in and out of like 12 different venues in Jamestown, and there's music. Everybody donates their time. We play an hour. Sometimes some of the bands play a little longer, but you can hear country, rock, acoustic, Americana, bluegrass, heavy rock, whatever. And it's all the proceeds from those wristbands go right to Infinity. It's a big fundraiser for them every year. And so mark your calendar, September 7th from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, and it's a great night. So mark your calendars. Let's go to Dunkirk. The 55th annual Fly-In Breakfast. My good friends, my fellow Rotarians at the Dunkirk-Fredonia Rotary Club have this coming up. Now this is on, this can't be right. Sunday, July 7th. That can't be right. I'm thinking 4th of July is on a Thursday. Oh, that hurt. All right, so it is Sunday, July 7th. Ouch. From 8 a.m. to noon at the Chautauqua County Dunkirk Airport. And that's going to be on the Middle Road in Dunkirk. Pilots eat free. And this is a great opportunity to get some pancakes, look at some really cool airplanes. And I understand you can pay for an airplane ride if you're so inclined. And it's a great day. If you don't know anything about Rotary, it's a great organization, does great community service, and provides lots of funding to lots of different programs in our area. So good on you guys in Dunkirk, Fredonia. Okay, let's go to Ripley, the Curse of the Comet. The Ripley Library Players, and our very own Miss Emerald is going to be in there. And she tells me she's a flirtatious scientist. Did I get that right? She's a What's your stage name?
Cheryl Shea.
Cheryl Shea. That's hard to say really fast. Cheryl Shea, Cheryl Shea. Okay, and this is going to be held at the Pine Junction Restaurant in Sherman, New York, July 11th. So we got a lot of stuff coming up at 6 p.m. Tickets are only $40, but you got to have a reservation. All right, now listen, you say, well, $40, what does it get me? It gets you a full meal, whether it's chicken, fish, or steak, and you have a cash bar. The benefits all help the Ripley Library Building Fund. They're doing some really cool work there. They got architect finishing up on the plans, and this summer, fall, the library is going to look really cool. For more information, give them a call at 736-3913. 736-3913 for a fun evening. Okay. Now, another group that's near and dear to my heart, I got a lot of friends. 27th Annual Golf Tournament. The Westfield Memorial Hospital Foundation will hold its annual golf tournament with the Westfield Memorial Hospital medical staff proudly serving as its major sponsor. There you go. The tournament will be held on Friday, July 12th at the Chautauqua Golf Club located in Chautauqua, New York. Consider joining the fun as the foundation celebrates its 41st anniversary in July. An early bird special is available to all those who sign up real soon. I think that deadline is over. But anyways, you can call and see if you can still make it. Participants will enjoy golf on the beautiful lake course along with breakfast, lunch, a steamed and raw clam tent. I've never heard that one before. That sounds really good. A cocktail reception and a prime rib dinner. An array of prize opportunities will be available for a variety of contests. The Schultz Auto Group is providing a variety of prizes for the golfer lucky enough to score a hole-in-one. Registration begins at 10 a.m. with a noon shotgun start. Excuse me. Many sponsorship opportunities are available for those wishing to show their support. Now, it starts at 10 o'clock. I usually get there about 9 o'clock. I don't golf because I'm not allowed to because I'm considered armed and dangerous with a golf club. Other people are considered armed and dangerous with another weapon, but me, it's a golf club. Anyways, I'm part of the board of directors at the hospital, and I've been there a number of years, and I sell the raffle tickets, and you can win all really cocool prizes. Speaking of which, the raffle is going to include this year electric bicycle, LG 55-inch HD Smart TV, a Yeti cooler with accessories, a 3-piece wrought iron patio set, a stand-up paddleboard, and a cast stone fire pit. Sounds really good. So we'll be selling those there at the actual event. You can also go to the front desk at the hospital, and today at the Westfield Farmers Market, you can buy them there. The funds raised from this year's tournament will benefit, of course, the Westfield Memorial Hospital. For more information, you can give Patty DePalma a call at 793-2338. 793-2338. And speaking of the Westfield Farmers Market, Will and I will be playing there in about an hour and about half from now. We'll be playing from 11 to 2. So if you're listening and you come by in Westfield, a great farmers market. Lots of tents were already set up this morning. I had to put some of my gear there. Come by and stop and say hello. All right, let's go now to this 6th Annual Family Fun Day. This is going to be in August, but let me tell you just a little bit about this. This is save the date. The Chautauqua Center has scheduled its 6th Annual Family Fun Day in recognition of National Health Center Week for Friday, August 9th in Dunkirk. Once again, they're going to anticipate a large turnout of the community, as well as community members and their families, as well as local organizations in attendance. The Chautauqua Center has quickly grown, as we've talked about in the past, and they're going to be on later on this season. They currently have 6 sites open, which are all over Chautauqua County, including Dunkirk and Jamestown. And if you're interested to know more about Chautauqua Center or the Family Fun Day, give them a call at 484-4334, 484-4334. And let's see if I have anything on the back of that page. And then finally, this is like breaking news. This just came in for immediate release. The Chautauqua Children's Safety Education Village is now participating in a smoke alarm installation program. The program is part of an effort to reach out to local residents who are in need of smoke alarms. The installation of smoke alarms in the homes of residents who do not have them increases the odds of surviving a home fire. According to Jessica Dayton, the executive director, our goal is to make sure the community residents have the protection of a smoke alarm. Just having a smoke alarm in your home cuts your chance of dying in a reported fire in half. Our program also includes educating residents to have a smoke alarm as well as a home fire escape plan so they know what to do if the fire alarm sounds. During the smoke alarm installation program, a representative from the Chautauqua Children's Safety Education Village is available to install the smoke alarm to those who might need that. Sometimes it's a little bit high, and we don't want people on ladders that are not too confident they can stay up there and not fall. Residents who wish to receive free smoke alarms should call the Safety Education Village at 338-0170, 338-0170 for an appointment and to receive additional information. All this is being provided through a FEMA grant, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Also, they want us to know that the Chautauqua Children's Education Village, is it raining? Get out. All of a sudden I can hear noise above me. It was sunny a minute ago. All right, back to my announcement. The Children's Safety Education Village will also be holding 4 summer safety classes. The classes are scheduled for July 10 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., July 25th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., August 8th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., and August 21st from 12 to 3 p.m. Each class will contain a 1-hour fire safety lesson and then either a traffic safety lesson with the little cars they have there, or bike safety, depending on the age. A snack, craft, and games are included. Those who are interested can register by calling 338-0170 or go to childrensafetyvillage.com. The summer safety classes are for those children ages 5 to 10. The cost is only $10 per session. What a deal. So lots going on over there. Also, they want you to know that they have their CPR and AED and first aid certification class, which is going to be held on Monday, July 15th from noon to 4 at the Safety Village facility. The cost is $60, and you end up with your American Heart Association certification card, and that's $10 more. So CPR, AED training, all that good stuff. Check it out. Children's Safety Education Village. We'll talk more about that next time. All right, we're going to take a little breather, and this announcement is for you. Stay tuned.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, it's that time of year, so let's be really careful on what we're doing outdoors and making sure if you do have a campfire, put it out and make sure it's really out. Okay, it's my pleasure today to
Thank you.
introduce someone that's not a stranger here to the studio. He was on here once before for a different program, but we interviewed him on Destination Chautauqua. So I want to welcome officially for the first time with the title of Sheriff, Jim Quattrone. Jim,
Thank you,
welcome
Doc.
back.
Thank you.
So how's that title? You still getting it to fit right?
It is a little strange.
I bet it is.
There's been a few times I've been with my wife walking through a public place and somebody will say, "Hi, Sheriff," and I get an elbow from my wife saying they're talking to us. So it is a little different, but it's been a great time, great getting out back to the sheriff's office and getting out into the community, talking
Jim,
to people.
tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, how you got into law enforcement and where you grew up and all that stuff.
Sure, I resident of Chautauqua County my whole life. I grew up in Lakewood. Haven't moved far from there. I live about 3/4 of a mile from where I grew up. My dad was the police chief in the town of Bustye.
Okay.
And that's probably the first interest I had in law enforcement. I always tell people I wanted to be a garbage man, just like Bud Beekner. So plug for Beekners, but Bud always, when he would come and get our garbage, always was treating me with respect. In my mind, he had lunch with me every time he came. My dad said one time he had lunch with me, but it was that friendliness.
Good memory. Yeah.
And then the guys who worked with my dad always treated me with respect. Maybe because they had to, because he was the chief. But got my interest. So from about the age of 6, I wanted to be a police officer, 5 or 6, and graduated from high school, Southwestern, went to a JCC and RIT, and then to Mercyhurst, and got hired by then Sheriff Bentley, John Bentley, and worked the navigation patrol for a summer.
Navigation, that's out on the lake?
Out on the lakes.
Ooh.
Sheriff Bentley, I can remember him asking me how much experience I'd had in a boat. I had had 0. So
But you lived in Lakewood.
I lived in Lakewood. I'd never been on a boat that I remembered. Maybe as a youngster I was, but I never had operated a boat. So he hired me. They trained me how to operate a boat. Usually I just kind of rowed with somebody who had the experience. Went to the academy, had an opportunity to work a few months in the jail, and then in January was hired out on the road, and spent 30 years working patrol. Several of those years was working the Stop DWI patrol, and then as a supervisory for the last 15 years.
I think you and I crossed paths a number of times when I was an administrator at BOCES and so forth. Were you part of that drill where we shut down the whole campus and had a hostage situation? Were you part of that?
I'm not sure if I was part of that.
I know we had the whole SWAT team come in for that. It was planned. It was planned.
Right. I believe I met you through part of the mock DWI crashes and different things. I was very involved in teaching DARE for several years and just getting out to the schools. Yeah,
and we would sit in various meetings for the county for whatever the thing is. I remember you would show up quite often. You and Captain Braley, I think a couple of you guys were at some of the meetings I was at. So, okay, so a lot of people. I know this is going to seem strange, but they don't know what a sheriff is. I mean, growing up, you have the Matt Dillon, the sheriff of Dodge City, and and all that stuff. But in nowadays, modern times, could you explain what does the sheriff do and what encompasses your office, if you will?
Sure. It's multifaceted.
Right. I don't think people realize that.
I think a lot of people think of they see the sheriff's patrol units going around. Serving as the law enforcement aspect. In many towns in the county, it's the primary law enforcement.
Right, it is in Ripley.
Along with the state police, other jurisdictions have their own police departments. But that is I don't want to say a small part, but just a part of the sheriff's office. One of the largest parts is maintaining the jail and operating the jail. We currently have about 235 inmates in there with a maximum of 303. That may be changing, and maybe we can touch on the new legislations coming in January 1. But so that's a part of it. And I look at this as a team effort. We sometimes differentiate between the road patrol and the jail, and really we all have to be working together to maintain safety within our communities.
Let me ask a little question there. So my understanding is if you're in the jail, you have a different title than someone that's on the road, right?
That is correct.
I mean, they're not both deputy sheriff. One's a corrections officer, one's a deputy sheriff. Is that how that works?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have the corrections officers in the jail, and so they're not trained to come out on the road. Likewise, those officers who are working patrol are not trained to work in the jail.
So from a civil service point of view, those are two different jobs.
Absolutely.
And you can't say, hey, you get in the car and go with these guys, or you come into the jail. I mean, so it's very, like you said, trained different and different responsibilities in that.
Yeah, trained different. There's just so many things that go on in the jail that people don't realize. Our corrections officers aren't just sitting there staring at a cell. They're interacting with the inmates, and I personally believe that our corrections officers can make a big difference in the lives of the inmates, with the hope that when they are released, that they can see that they can be treated with respect, that as they get back out into the community, that they can make something of their lives and don't have to go back to reoffending.
Now, about a year ago, you and I were in an interview here, but you were not a candidate for sheriff. You were not running at that point. Right. And we were talking about UCAN. So I'm sitting here listening to the way you're talking. You're not talking much different about people, whether they're at the mission or if they've had some bad decision making and ended up in jail. You seem to have a common philosophy about people.
I agree. You mentioned the decision. It's about choices. Many of those we are arresting, who are incarcerated, doesn't mean that they're bad people. It means that they've made some bad choices, and sometimes a lot of bad choices. And you know, through the different programs in the jail, through the way we interact with individuals, you know, we need to help those individuals realize that they can take a different path, that they can make positive choices, and instead of just locking them up and throwing away the key.
Recently, I try to do the best I can to ask these questions, and sometimes I don't have all the details, but I heard something to the effect that, and I say Albany, so I'll just say Albany, passed some legislation or a bill of some sort to provide inmates laptops, iPads, computers, something.
There is, we can provide laptop, or not laptops, I guess, tablets. Tablets to the inmates. They're very controlled situation. We're not doing that in the jail.
Okay.
There's a maintenance, logistics problem. There's some benefits to that. And it's not that they can get on the internet and surf the internet or even send emails, but they can do educational things on there. They can actually make phone calls, again, on a controlled. Currently, they can go to a kiosk, use the telephone, make phone calls out. With a tablet, they could also do that. There's some benefits to it. There's some, they can make regular contacts with the family members, but it does cost them money. And I am told, I haven't researched the tablets yet, but there's a way to maintain those so they can't get out to the public, that it has to be screened. Again, they can shut them down so they can't be making phone calls 24/7, but there's certain.
So do you have personnel that oversees this? I mean, it sounds complicated to me.
that is the problem. The complications, the additional workload to the corrections officers who are already very busy in the jail. So it's a program that would be run. The tablets would actually be owned by a company that we would contract with.
Oh, like a subcontractor.
Subcontractor.
Okay.
And but we would have to maintain them. We would have to have somebody within the jail, one of the corrections officers, tracking them, issuing them, returning them.
So when I go back to my question, Albany passed the bill. So is that a requirement, or that there's funding for it if you want?
It's not a requirement.
Okay.
It's something.
See, I heard it was required, so that's good to clarify.
And I'm not. There are some sheriff's officers within the state that are utilizing them successfully. It's a great way, they're telling me, to actually help to control some of the population in the jail, because if they want to keep those tablets, they have to follow the rules.
It's like an honor system and then benefit.
And it can also help with educational advancements, getting their GEDs, different items like that. But with every positive, you always can have the cons, and so we have to look at those.
I do see positive if you have somebody that's incarcerated for an extended period of time, and they could work on their GED while they're sitting, basically not doing a whole lot. That's a good use of their time, and we both know that with a high school diploma, that's your key. It's your golden ticket to get work very often, and some of these folks don't have that, and so they just continue that cycle of crime or petty larceny or whatever they're getting into. So I could see some benefit there.
We talked about being on here last year.
Yeah.
One of the guys I worked with at the mission, he was often saying, "You know what you know," and sometimes we have to really work with individuals to show them there's another way. I was fortunate, had two loving parents, that guided me and directed me.
Yeah, two.
And my parents were divorced, and I always tell people, I said, that was probably the worst thing that happened to me in my life. But I had two parents, and I continue to have, they're still there for me. The sounding boards, they're in their 80s, and I can still bounce ideas off them. Unfortunately, the statistics show that 50% of those who are in jail, in prison, come from single-parent homes, and 95% come from homes who have no loving father figure. And that's why I continue to say, I'd like to see our corrections officers make sure they're treating all of the individuals that are incarcerated with unconditional respect. Sometimes they don't do the things that earn that.
Especially when they're swearing or throwing things at them or whatever.
Yeah, and I understand. I'm sure some of the corrections officers roll their eyes when I say that, because I'm not working in there.
Right.
Yeah, their job is tough.
Yeah.
But the officers have been really supportive and receptive.
Well, I've had discussions with Jim Crow
Yes.
And I know that I've known, oh boy, I'm drawing a blank, Pat Johnson, their philosophy was very much the same way: is educate, help folks move ahead instead of that little cycle that they're stuck in, and to move them on. So, I think you're echoing a lot of what I've heard in the past. So it's good.
Pat Johnson and I, as well as about 8 other people, attended the first Offender Workforce Development training. We were able to go on a federal grant to Florida to get the training and bring that back. It's been several classes taught in Chautauqua County, and what the idea there is to help inmates find employment, and realistic employment. Is we talked about if they don't have a GED, they don't have a degree, they're not going to be going into the education field. So we want to have realistic goals and help them to obtain those goals. And if they can find employment, ideally they won't have to turn to crime.
Right. Now, we talked a little bit about tablets being available perhaps in some situations to work on your GED. Right now you have classes for GED, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
All right, and now is there any other classes that are offered here in Chautauqua County for inmates for beyond the GED? Not yet.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so, but if they had a tablet, they could register with some, one of those, I don't want to say the name of the some university, TV university, and start taking classes or something like that.
Yeah, online classes
There you go.
have been great.
Yeah.
I've taken some online classes. I initially wasn't in favor of them until I took a couple. You can learn a lot.
Yeah.
And
it's not for every student, but it's
a
for a lot
convenient
of
way.
students. Yeah.
Convenient way to get educated.
You mentioned the jail. You talked about your folks that are on the lake, because you said you were once upon there, and then your road patrols. How about the dispatch? Is that a separate group, or is that how does that work?
It's a separate group. We have the dispatchers, who I believe there's just under 30 different dispatchers.
You have 30 dispatchers?
Some of them are part-time.
Oh, well,
they're not working.
I didn't realize. I thought there was like 4 or 5 that just sit in that little room all day.
There's 6 councils in there, so there's not 30 at a time.
Okay.
And they are really generally the point of first contact.
Absolutely.
And they've done some great work in there. Not only, many people think they just answer the phone. That's a complicated job also. The technology that is in there, they, being that first contact, they can make a difference in the safety and survival of many of our callers.
Well, unfortunately, I had to use them about 3 years ago. Long story, but I ended up with my truck sideways in a ditch, and I called 911, and they said, "Where are you?" And I'm looking up at the sky here, like I'm in a ditch. I don't know where but they kept talking with me, and made sure that I stayed online with them till somebody showed up.
Yes.
And so that was a lifesaver for me. I could have been down in that ditch forever. No one would have found me. So good for all of you. I'm confused though with this, and help us understand this. The sheriff is responsible for Chautauqua County, and not in necessarily where there's, like Jamestown has their own their own police department, right?
Right.
So you don't go in there as a rule.
We don't patrol into there.
Right.
If we're driving through and see something major, we would take action, but we would also call Jamestown.
Right.
And it should be calling Jamestown to
So
let
I
them
guess
know.
I'm saying is you don't generally go into Jamestown, Fredonia, Westfield, and
Dunkirk.
Yeah. Okay.
Lakewood, Buste.
Right. So they all have their not little, but I consider little departments compared to some of the other departments in the area. They're smaller, because I know some only have like 5 officers or something like that. How many work for you?
We have total employees, approximately 300 employees.
That's what I'm
at the
saying.
Sheriff's
So
Office.
you guys are quite large.
That's road patrol, corrections, dispatch, administrative,
Sure.
Civil division. We haven't touched on that, which is the civil department. We have a lieutenant and 2 deputies handle civil papers and the civil
subpoenas and things like that.
Different things like that. Yeah. It's a very complicated job. Again, I continue to look at this. We just look at the big picture. It seems like things go smoothly, and they do. But the work and the training, those who are working in the different departments, It gets to be very
Oh,
specialized.
no, the law is constantly changing.
Yes.
All right, so you kind of painted a little bit about what the sheriff department does as a whole. So, and then we have the local communities that have their own law enforcement. Where does the state police come in? How does that all work?
State police, I look at more of a jurisdictional.
Okay.
Okay, so the state police has statewide jurisdiction.
All right, all New York State.
All New York State. Sheriff's Office has county jurisdiction. Jamestown Police Department has city.
Right.
You know, just so they have to stay within that. Now, on major crimes, they can come out.
Sure.
We work together. So with the state police, I'm not sure how many they have assigned to Chautauqua County, but they have a barracks in Jamestown, have a barracks in Fredonia.
Right.
And so they get assigned specific zones within their patrol area within the county, and we work with them. So we have a closest car concept. So when you were in your truck and called
Right.
911, they figured out where you were, the location you were. They will look at the GPS on the screens in the dispatch. Dispatch will say who's the closest car, and then dispatch that car.
Okay.
So
All right, so is there a higher order of things? I mean, does like the state police say, back off, we're on the job, or how's, you know?
no, generally
Just jurisdictional
It's
thing.
jurisdictional. It's if we are on the scene with the state police come to our scene. Generally, it's the unit that was dispatched, who's on scene first, will be handling that.
Okay, so you remember me now. So I'm in Jamestown, and Jamestown Police, they are in charge of those streets, and they patrol those streets. And then you take care of the roads that are outside of Jamestown and all those other places. So what does the state police do? What's their area? I mean, do they patrol anywhere?
Anywhere. And they generally will stay out of the same area. So they're out in the county.
Okay.
Generally. I mean, they do have a program with Jamestown that a James officer and a state trooper will ride together.
Oh, I didn't know
in the
that.
same unit. They will do some details with that.
Okay.
We've had a great relationship with all the jurisdictions. I meet just about monthly with the Chief of Police Association. There's usually representatives from all the police departments, including the state police, the sheriff's office, and we kind of discuss what is going on in our communities and how we can help and assist
Pretty much
one
have
another.
to, don't you? So you're
That-
not stepping on each other?
That
or
is
anything?
the best way, but it's also if we are working together and communicating with each other, we're more efficient and more effective in keeping our community safe.
Okay, take a breath. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and my guest today is Sheriff James Quattrone. And you can give us a call at 753-5225 if you have a question for Jim or myself, or have an announcement for your club or organization. So don't be shy. So let's keep moving here then. Okay, so task force. You hear that from time to time in the newspaper. So is there a task force across the county now?
There is a drug task force.
Oh, a drug task force.
Drug
Okay.
task force, and so I know we've talked a lot about. There's a Southern Tier Regional Drug Task Force, and the Rural Metro Drug Task Force, which is focused out of Jamestown. What we've done since about the second week of January is we've been working together. We have 2 investigators who are assigned and work right out of Jamestown Police Department, and we have 2 of our narcotics investigators who are working out of the north end of the county at a Fredonia Dunkirk office.
Okay.
And and then they, again, sharing information back and forth, working together. When we have a larger case that requires more manpower, they can come together and work together.
Okay.
Or if somebody's on vacation, the guys from the north end, south end come together, and it's been working really well.
Good.
Sharing that communication back and forth. Again, it's about safety, efficiency, effectiveness.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you a tough question, and I don't even want to talk about this, but this has been bugging me for a long time, and it's nothing personal. You'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. I keep hearing about this, and I keep thinking, this can't be right. Child and sex trafficking in Chautauqua County. I can't believe that it's happening, and people tell me it's happening all the time. So where are we at with that?
It is happening. And
man.
we hear about labor trafficking, and it's
Yeah.
going on there, and it's an unfortunate thing. And we've been working on that for years. And the same thing is it's hard for the public to accept that or to realize that it's happening.
It must be so underground that we're just not aware of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's underground, but it is difficult and it's hard to recognize. And unfortunately, there's some of the victims are either afraid or ashamed to admit it, in which they shouldn't be. They are being manipulated and taken advantage of. And so we need to continue to work hard at that, at preventing it, at recognizing. There's great collaborations working together, trying to say, how can we train not only our officers, but the public? We got groups going into the schools, trying to educate the schools, and the students in the schools to recognize that. A few years ago, we had a representative from the Salvation Army from Washington, D.C. come in and present to our supervisors, Sheriff's Department supervisors, and she had a acquaintance with her. Her father had been a executive in the auto industry in Michigan, and she was a victim of sex trafficking. So it's all walks of life, but they had manipulated her as a young girl, were trafficking her, but then intimidated her by saying, if you go to the authorities, your father will lose his job. And then that's the methods that often these perpetrators will be using.
Is this a growing problem? Is it? I mean, I don't know if you know that. I mean,
I don't know that.
I just seems like in the last year or so I've been hearing more about that, and I'm just like, what? And this seems to be like a network, just like drug trafficking is a network.
Absolutely.
Whether it goes from city to city or follows the throughway or whatever.
I do believe it's very similar to the drug trafficking.
Kind
it's
of
a kind of an underworld, and sometimes it can be going hand in hand with the same individuals doing the trafficking. In part, we're hearing more of it because we're recognizing it.
What would be a couple of signs of someone that may be caught up in this you can share?
It's sometimes we're going to be looking for the not just the characteristics of the individuals, but family members. If your kids become withdrawn, it's when we started looking at the trafficking, and maybe we're talking to an individual, a young person. As we start to talk to that individual, somebody else is answering for them.
So we're like a dominant person.
Dominant, not allowing them to answer, not allowing them to move forward.
Okay. Wow. Whew, scary stuff. Boy, I got lots of stuff here that we could talk about. All right, let's go to the one that's just like the elephant in the room is the opioid and marijuana state of the situation. We got a government in Albany, maybe they're going to legalize marijuana, maybe they're not. Meanwhile, we got folks that are still overdosing on opioids or hooked on opioids. So I'm going to leave that wide open. Anything you want to comment on that?
Sure. We'll start with the legalization of the cannabis.
Okay, sure.
The state legislature has put the brakes on. I'd like to think that they started to listen to some of the interest groups, the law enforcement groups, the education groups, family groups, and to at least look at some of the consequences and ramifications. I do believe we are going to see it legalized. I'm not in favor of that, but if they're going to legalize it, they need to think of the consequences, some of the negativity that could come with that, and seems like they have stepped back to look at that.
Yeah, my understanding, talking to a variety of folks, is they're for legalizing it for whatever their reasons are, but they haven't, as you said, taken into consideration the unanticipated consequences. What are the spin-offs? What are the things that they're not thinking about? Our county executive, George Burrell, and I talked about this one day. He said, well, if you take cannabis and you put it into food, it's no longer food by definition. So what is it, and how do you control that? And just little things I wasn't even thinking about. And so, yeah, and then just that whole thing is people say, all the other states have it and everything's hunky-dory. It's not hunky-dory. They're having more DUIs, or is that driving under the influence of drugs, and then just the black market seems to be better than ever.
And that is the black.
That's weird to me,
Well,
that was the whole idea, was to get rid of the black market.
Yes, and some of the dispensaries in other states, they got the legalized marijuana going out the front door, and the black market going out the back door, and not having to worry about the taxes, not having to worry about different items that are going on. One of the problems being that it will still be illegal federally, they're not using the banking system.
Right.
So it's a cash
only.
and there's crime happening outside of those dispensaries. I was in Colorado back in April for some training, and you know, right close to where our training was a dispensary. So we were walking by, and the people who are hanging outside of there trying to sell items. You know, I had a young man come up to me and with a knife. I wasn't sure what he was going to do with the knife, but thankfully he was only trying to sell me the knife so he could go into the dispensary. So they're seeing that.
Oh, see, there's another consequence that people are anticipating.
Right.
That people are going to start selling stuff that doesn't belong to them, maybe, and just to
Correct.
get the legal stuff. Even so, we still got crime going on, even though it's for legal intentions.
Correct. And because of technology, we're seeing increased potency of the cannabis. So the cannabis of the 60s and 70s. Percentage of THC was much lower than what we're seeing today, and there's some studies, and I'm not an expert in that area, but that show that with the cannabis we're seeing more psychosis, and especially with the cannabis that have increased the THC content, we're seeing more psychosis with that. So there's some concern there. That I've talked to people. Well, in my 30 years. I haven't fought with a lot of people. I haven't had to go physical hands-on with somebody who's under the influence of cannabis.
Right.
However, as that THC level increases and the potential for more bizarre behavior, such as the synthetic marijuana, as we see bizarre behavior, we may be seeing that in the legalized.
Okay, so we'll stay tuned on that, and of course, if that goes through, that's another headache for you guys.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps our biggest headache is the legislation that's going to go into effect in January.
Which is that?
With the no cash bail, some rulings on discovery. That would be more of a headache for our district attorney. But no cash bail is the majority of the crimes that we arrest people for. Yes. We will no longer be able to take them for an arraignment. We will have to issue an appearance ticket. Pretty much all misdemeanors, most felonies. Even some violent felonies, we'll have to give an appearance ticket, inviting them back to court if they don't show up for court.
Bench warrant?
Well, not initially.
Oh, okay.
Initially, we have to contact them through a phone call, a letter, an email, whatever their preference is. There's not been a real clarity on who's going to have to make that contact. It'll probably either be the courts or a pre-sentence service. We'll have to contact them.
Sounds like a whole new business being formed there, a new business plan.
I'm not sure if it's a new business plan, but the number of people who are currently in our jail will decrease. I will see that I predict that the first 6 months of the 6, 7, 8 months maybe, we'll see a lower number of people in our jail because we won't be able to be arraigning them or setting bail. But we're going to have to continually try to find the people who aren't showing up. We did need bail reform.
Okay.
I think we went a little too far in releasing.
I can see, minor infractions like it is now, but for felonies?
Some felonies.
Like for instance, what would be a felony that you would just get an appearance ticket for?
Well,
I thought felony was a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. But even some burglaries. Yeah, some assaults. So we have to give that as a appearance ticket. So one of the things we talk about often is if we arrest somebody, they're disorderly, they're fighting with us, fighting with other people. We would initially handcuff them, do the paperwork, take them to see the judge for an arraignment. Or currently we have the centralized arraignment
right, I had that on
court,
my list
which
here,
is working very well. Good. But we won't even be able to do that. So I'll finish the paperwork. Now I have to give them an appearance ticket, take the handcuffs off them, who's already showed that they're being violent, and let them go. So I continually bring that up because I think after the first of the year, the general public will be getting upset thinking that we're letting them go, but we're going to be forced by law to let them go.
Sitting here right now, I'm thinking this is putting you guys in a huge liable situation, and this is what I'm thinking. So this guy, me and Justin have this big fist fight. He's all beat up, I'm all beat up, and you guys come in here and say, well, we had a disagreement, and you give us an appearance ticket, and then I come back later and we go at it again, and one of us ends up dead or in the hospital, and then we sue you for not taking one of us to jail.
It's a big concern. Mainly the safety. There are some cutouts for like domestic violence. There are certain crimes, exceptions to that, but not enough. And it is going to increase the workload, we believe, in safety issues for law enforcement, for the courts, for the district attorney.
And this goes into effect in January?
In January 1st. And then there's discovery rules and how quick we have to be, or the district attorney has to be prepared for trial.
All right, so let's put all the negatives that we're thinking of on the side. So what are the positives? It just reduces people in jail that probably shouldn't be there?
I think the goal, and I can't speak for what their logic was.
Let's try.
Yes,
give it our best shot here.
To reduce the number of people who were being left in jail,
right,
solely because they couldn't afford bail.
Okay.
And which is, that has been a problem. And there's been people who have been forced to be in jail because they can't pay a minor bail amount.
When you say minor, what would be minor?
Even a few $100s.
Okay.
That's
so sometimes people just
some
don't
people
have
don't
that
have
money.
it, and so then they're stuck there for an extended period of time, and just waiting for trial.
And that's cost to the county, cost
to
your
the
department?
county. There is a risk that sometimes if somebody's there based just on that, that they may plead guilty to something.
Just to get out?
Just to get out,
Yeah.
and which isn't right.
Right.
But on the flip side is concern that we've shared, and we've shared with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, or at the council, is the danger is many times we have individuals who are getting arrested, and that's the way we get them help.
I'm sorry?
That's the way they get their help.
Oh, okay.
So we have somebody who's struggling with what I like to call a life controlling problem or an addiction.
Yeah.
And we're able to get them into drug court.
Okay.
Because they would rather go to drug court than jail. We're not going to have that opportunity.
Oh boy.
Or we're going to be able to evaluate the individuals and get them the help. We have counseling services within the jail.
All right, so this is going to be in flux for quite a while, then it sounds like to me,
Yes.
anyway, so you figure this out.
Yeah.
We got a phone call.
Okay.
You can take call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Sheriff Jim. This is Linda Spalding.
Hey, Lynn, good morning.
Good morning.
Sheriff, it's good to see you on the show.
Thank you.
We just had a thunder and lightning storm, and it just disappeared a second ago.
We were sitting here, Lynn, about 15 minutes ago, and Jim looks at me, I look at him, and because we had this metal roof above us, and it was like, what is that noise? And is it sunny now?
Yeah, it's beautiful out now.
Oh, great.
Good.
There must be a rainbow somewhere.
Wow. Well, thanks for the updated weather report. We're like in the tomb in here. We have no windows out to the outside world.
Well, one nice thing about being a meteorologist, you're not held accountable if your predictions are incorrect.
They only have to be right once in a while, I guess.
Oh, well, I just wanted to say that we do have our services for employment with the Senior Employment Program of the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. And there's also computer training going on at our Brockton, Ohio site. So there are other services also with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. And the number to call
There it is.
in Mayville is 753-4471.
Okay. Lynn, since I have you on the phone and I have the sheriff here, any reports from your folks about any senior citizen scams going on these days?
Oh, yeah, there's always scams going on. In fact, there's scams, that they say they're from Social Security, or and if they don't respond, they're going to lose their Social Security check. And then there's another scam, the granddaughter. The granddaughter in trouble or the grandson in trouble.
I get the grandson. That's three times I've had him call.
Yeah,
He's got a Brooklyn accent.
They need money right away. Something awful has happened. Yeah, they're scams all the time. And I think they target seniors because seniors are so trusting.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a good friend of mine. He's in his mid-80s, and I've received many calls from him. He'll receive something in the mail, and think his family bought him a shredder, and I encourage him to use that. He doesn't like to do that, though. He holds the hope out that maybe one of those are right.
But they call you on the phone, and they sound so real, and they know just how to work you. You know, Grandpa, don't you know who this is?
Yes.
I go, and I'll say, is that you, so-and-so? Yeah, Grandpa. So I've already given the name, so because I think I only got like one grandson that age group. And then the next thing, I'm like, I don't remember you having an accent. So then I started, let me talk to your parents. Oh, no. And they give you this whole song and dance, and it's they've got a regular script they must follow.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. You get a lot of scams on the internet, too.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And the spyware stuff goes on, and malware. You have to be very careful. I never open anything unless I know who it's coming from.
Good policy. And that's like answering the door or answering the phone. So, Jim, anything you want to say on scams lately?
On the scams, we haven't had a lot. I actually received a check from the IRS and almost ripped it up thinking it was a scam. And about a week later, actually, because I researched it, and they talked about a scam receiving those, but I received a letter from the IRS saying that it was legitimate, but I still didn't trust it. I went to my accountant and talked with them. But Tuesday, I'm actually meeting with a retired officer from California who's now living in Mayville, and his specialty was working on putting on programs about scams.
Oh, wow.
So we are going to be meeting on Tuesday and seeing how we can put something together.
Well, let us know, and we'll promote that here weekend. Okay.
Yeah, but the IRS scam is a popular one too. And they call on the phone, and then they try to really frighten people. But the IRS never calls; they send letters.
Right.
And don't give them information. Don't give them your Social Security number.
No.
All right, Lynn. We'll have an enjoyable weekend. You going to come out to the parade?
Oh, I'm going to try to come to the parade.
We'll stop by near the Mayville Library. We'll be holed up there and say hi, okay?
Okay, that'll be great. We'll have a wonderful weekend, and happy 4th and sunshine today, I hope.
Okay, well, thanks for the update on the weather. We'll talk to you later, Lynn. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, so we've been bouncing all over the place here. So we talked about the drug situation a little bit, but what about opioids in Chautauqua County? I've been hearing a lot of it, but not so much in Chautauqua County, but in surrounding areas. So where are we at now, you think?
We're still having an issue with opioids.
All right.
And right now, it seems to be the major problem is the methamphetamine. And but the opioids have not gone away. And so we need to continue pressing on that, working on that. I think I shared before the show is that it's important that we recognize that until so many individuals can have that hope in their life that they're going to continue to use.
Okay.
And we need to work with the groups. Again, Chautauqua County has a great networking, great collaboration amongst different agencies to hopefully put a little bit of a stem on what's going on with the opiates.
Before the show, you mentioned that a lot of the meth is coming from Mexico, so that's already been made. As opposed to a meth house that's making it, and you can smell it, you get a feel. So what are we looking for now with these guys? Just sellers?
A little bit of both. Yeah. So we just had an incident out in Forestville that unfortunately somebody died at the house because of some carbon monoxide. We believe carbon monoxide poisoning. 2 of our officers who went in to try to rescue the individual ended up being succumbed by fumes, had to go to the hospital.
Okay.
And that was somebody making what we call the one pot method, using chemical that they can buy locally. Okay.
Jim, we're wrapping up, they're telling me. So thanks for coming on the show. How about last words of advice for anybody before we cut off here?
Just this is the summer season, 4th of July coming up. We will encourage people to be safe, not only during their celebration, but with their partyings, their fireworks. We talked a little bit about that.
Nothing that goes boom.
Nothing that goes boom. The sparklers, but even with the sparklers, we need to be careful.
Right.
And then just with the increased traffic, to be careful, to drive defensively.
Jeff, are we good? So we're going to wrap up now. We're going to do this. We're going to do this all next week, and we're going to be starting our 6th season. So happy 4th of July, and check us out in Mayville. We'll be happy to talk with you. Take care. I'm Doc Hamels, and have a wonderful rain-free weekend. Hopefully. Bye now. Take care. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you. Well, we got nice.